Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Azfar Anjum. I am in grade 9 and I go to Westmount Charter School. My project is procedural generation, and basically what that is just that if you're making a game and you don't want to make all the levels by yourself, you can just have the computer do it for you. So like as an example, if I press play, then yeah, you can see that it creates this whole level for me, right? And if I press play again, then you can see that like it's different this time. And the reason for that is just to keep the player interested. I don't want them to get like bored of doing the same thing over and over again. So yeah, the way that I did this was just that in this beginning room, there are these 4 different squares, right? And each of these squares have a code over there, right? So the code is basically just, it checks, depending on where the square is, like if it's at the top of the room, then it would need to create another room that has an opening at the bottom, so that the openings would connect and then the player can go through, right? So like it'll basically just, like this bottom one, it'll create something like this, right? So then the player can just pass through this gap, right? So a problem that this created though was that you can see that this has a gap right over here, right? But then if I add another room over here, then it has a square like at the exact same place. So both of those squares would create a room, and it'll just like overlap over each other, and then those rooms would also have their own squares, and those would create rooms, and they'll just like keep endlessly going on, and it didn't work properly. And the way that I fixed this was I just added my code a little bit, and now it detects if there's a room in that area, and if there is, then it'll just destroy itself and nothing would happen. Another issue though that arise because of that was that sometimes a gap would just lead to nothing because the thing that was supposed to spawn it was destroyed. And it was really rare, but the way that I just solved it was just if if this gap has nothing in front of it, then it would just add this in, right? This is just like a wall, nothing can go like through it, so it'll just prevent the player from going through there, right? And basically just like that code and then fixing all the problems made it so that this level could just like be endlessly created, right? Like however many times you want, you can just like keep running it and it'll keep making different levels, so you don't need to do it by yourself. And I added onto that and added like enemies to it, so the enemies would also be random, and I'm gonna keep on working on it and make it into like a full game. So yeah, Jazakallah.